let's make fall snacks that makers can have that are like seasonal and like feel good so that they can have their little snackies when they have meetups or they're just working on their project all day. Also, we need yummy things in our tummy to make us happy when the world's burning down all around us.
Wait, I want my Grains Anatomy shirt to be on full display.
Oh yeah, you need to full focus. I love it. Okay. Hello, makers, and welcome to Making Conversation, a podcast where we celebrate all things making. My name is Jen, my pronouns are she, her, and I have Andreya back with us. I'm so excited. You know, originally this episode was going to be all about cooking yummy snacks as we are in the fall, making and crafting, and then the election happened. Anyways, we are going to be making some beautiful foods to nourish our souls.
Yeah, let's start our squash.
Let's do it.
Cut in half while we're talking.
Cut in half while we're talking. I need a kniff. There we go. Okay.
And then,
wow, the lighting here is just
great.
I feel like I've become a food stylist. Okay.
I know. I thought that too with your lighting. And then use your spoon just to scoop out the seeds. Your oven is preheated to 375. Right?
Oh, I did 350, but I can bump it up. Okay. So what are we making right now?
An acorn squash dip, which is really easy and autumnal. You could do this with butternut squash or delicata squash or any winter squash that you may have lying about. And the size of the squash will obviously determine the quantity that you end up with. So if you need a lot, then you could do one butternut squash because they're huge. But if you just want like a medium to small amount, you could do like one acorn squash or multiple acorn squashes. We're going to have it as a dip that we can put out for snacks. But you could use it as like a base for, or like mix it in with like a grain salad. Now we're going to drizzle this with olive oil or whatever cooking oil. Some people love avocado oil, whatever you have is
I've
good.
got that too.
And then we're going to sprinkle some salt like that. This is going to get roasted and then it's going to get really soft. And then we're going to scoop it out and blend it.
So scoop out the guts and a little bit of olive oil and salt.
And then do this. You have to rub that salt and olive oil all over it. Cut side down on your little sheet pan or cookie sheet. What is important is that they're flat down on the surface.
Sorry. There we go.
Okay. So into the oven.
Look at how cute they are. Get ready to get roasted. Okay, now everyone can see the cleanliness of my oven.
It is very clean.
I mean, you're not seeing it up close. Okay.
Should we do the nuts now so we can snack on them while we wait?
Yes. Okay. I love that. Okay, nuts.
We need that. We each had cashews, but you can use really whatever you have on hand, whatever nuts you like best. It's nice if they're roasted already, but they don't have to be. And both Jen and I just happen to have cashews on hand, but neither of us had roasted cashews. So whatever, they're not going to be roasted, and that's fine. They're still
best good. Unsalted, right?
Yeah, best.
It has to, but that way you can kind of control.
Exactly. That. Then you can control it. You just put your nuts in a bowl, however many, whatever you want. Many. Yeah. This is so easy.
No, I'm going to go for it. Val's coming over later.
Oh, perfect. You drizzle some olive oil. Enough to...
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
I noticed I itched my nose and I was like, people are watching this. And if I just touch it.
Food safety. Yeah.
Food safety as I then touch my hair. It's fine. You're not eating this. I am. And Val is. And maybe Daniel. I don't know. Okay.
So you want just enough just to coat it. You don't want them like sitting in like buckets of oil. You just want it to kind of glisten a little.
Just a little coat. A glisten.
If you have an infused olive oil that you like a lemon olive oil or whatever, you can use that. And so now you take some salt. This is what I would call a pinch of salt, and it's what a lot of home cooks would call 4 pinches of salt. But you really want to, coat it. And this, if you are using salted nuts, don't add any salt at all. Just totally keep that one out. If you have a flaky salt, like a Malden salt or a kosher salt, not the like super fine table salt, use the flaky salt because it has a nice texture. So when you take a bite, you get like that little extra crunch. You got your salt, and now we're going to do our lemon.
To recap, nuts, olive oil just enough to coat, and salt if your nuts are not salted.
Yep. And it's to taste, which you see that a lot in recipes and things. And sometimes you're like, what does that mean? I mean, it just means like do it to however you want to eat it. Just remember that less is more, and you can always add, but you can't take away. So
I was going to say that was one thing that we talked about a lot in one of the last podcast episodes was you can't take it out if it's salt. So just add what you think, and if you need more, do it later.
So now we've got our lemon zest. Are you going to do lemon with your? Sure, why not? Okay.
I feel like that's right. Or should I do lime?
I would do lime. This is called a microplane, people, and if you don't have one, you should get one. I use it for a lot of things, but I use a lot of zest of citrus when I cook. I also use it to grate garlic on. You can use it to grate like pecans and nuts on. You can use it for so many things. So it's a great tool to have. They're not very expensive. And once you get one, you'll be like, how did I live without this thing? I'm just doing half.
Okay. So if somebody has a lot of nuts in their bowl, you would say zest the whole lemon or lime?
Yeah, you should do the whole one.
I should?
Yeah, because you have a lot and I have less. And then that smells so good. And then I'm doing these cashews with a pimenton, which is a smoked paprika. And Jen, how are you doing yours? You're doing something different.
I am. I got really excited about this because I mentioned it and you were like, do that. Tahini.
It's going to be really good.
I love this stuff so much. Do you have any other suggestions of things that typically people have in their spice rack?
Yeah, I think it's fun to play around. One of my favorite things to do with the cashews also is a lemon olive oil and Vativan curry spice. If you can find that, it's a North African curry mix that doesn't have like chili heat in it. So it's very mild. It's really, really delicious. But also, if you wanted to do something more spicy, you could use just a curry powder. Basically, if you have a favorite sort of spice blend, then, whatever that is, you could use that. There's one I really love is bearberry spice from Ethiopia with lime zest and a little olive oil. It is so effing good. It's kind of spicy. And I mix it. I do like a bar snacks with it where I mix it with like little pretzels and, popcorn thingies and stuff.
Say, after this, you could like mix in other little thingies with it, I would think.
You could do your own little Chex Mix. Okay, and so now we're going to add our spice. This is probably about a half teaspoon of paprika. Again, I'm just kind of starting out small. And, because less is more. And then I'm just going to mix it together here.
Do I do half teaspoon or 1 teaspoon?
Basically, whatever it will look like if everything is coated with at least a little bit. I just kind of sprinkle it over the top to see. And this is like very indicative, you guys, of I'm just going to plug myself here for a second because I have a Substack called Cookie Jar. I like to teach intuitive cooking, which is this kind of cooking. It's like when you have those people in your life who say, "Oh, I'm just going to go whip this thing up," and then they do it. And you're like, how did they do that? How did that happen? So the intuitive cooking techniques come in, or developing that as a skill just sort of comes in. So you learn how to maybe use recipes more as a guide or give you like ratios. But then you get to be more creative and I think connected
Yeah.
with the process as well.
How does that look?
Those look good, but then how do they taste?
Oh, right. That's fair.
Mm,
Ooh.
yeah.
Damn, I'm good.
I love it.
Oh my goodness. The lime on here is so good.
No, that's better. And
But
I'm just going to add a tiny bit more salt to make it pop a little more.
one of the things that I've loved learning from you in these podcast recordings and also, subscribing to your Substack and creating the things that you send is like, I don't always have the confidence to do this. It's kind of like less scary than going off of like going like off-roading off of like a knit pattern or something like that.
Mm,
But I don't always like I'll get excited about making something and then I don't always have every single thing. And so like what I've found is my confidence level has gone up to just use what I have or try things in its place. So like I think this is a really good example. Like we had talked about using that curry that you were talking about earlier and I couldn't find it at the store. And so I just,
yeah.
we were texting and I used what I had. But I was going to use cayenne
Mm-hmm.
until I was like, what about
With
this?
this.
Like right before we started recording. And I'm so glad I did because these are,
I know. Our culture is so primed to go out and buy the exact thing that you need, this perfect thing you have to have. And
Mhm,
it's not a way that I like to live my life. It's stressful and you end up with a bunch of stuff that you don't really need. And so
mhm,
I love just using what you have. Go through
mhm.
it, use it up, and then try something new. We're
Yeah.
not in a rush here. We're not in a race. We don't have to like have all the things every second. We can just enjoy what we have in the moment, use what we have, experiment with it, eat it, and then,
Mhm.
move along. So,
And it's
yeah,
fun to
I love
find your
that.
own staples,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yes,
I feel
exactly.
like every household has their staples,
Yeah.
but then I always try and kind of go outside of the box a little bit every once in a
Hmm.
while and like try something new.
Hmm.
Because, I don't know, like 6 years ago, this wouldn't have been in my,
Yeah.
and for no reason, just I didn't really know much about it. And so,
Yeah.
like, when I got it and tried it for the first time, I was like,
This is
you're
delicious.
coming home with me.
I love it. Yeah, I love
All right,
that.
what do we do with our nuts now?
Now we just get to eat them. Um,
Oh, we don't put them in, we don't do anything else with them?
no, this
We
is
don't
it.
roast them or anything, we just eat them.
Yeah, that's it. They're done.
Mm.
If you make a bunch of them, and you don't eat them all just in one sitting, I often will throw them into a salad or put them out like on a cheese board or like, as
Mhm.
snacks. They
Mm.
make a nice gift. You can put them in a jar with a little ribbon and a little tag that you make. And,
That's so good.
you know,
And like that didn't take very much time at all.
mm-mm.
This is a good thing to have out if you're like snacky and you're crafting. If you don't want your fingers to get stuff on them,
Mhm.
just use chopsticks.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Let me pull out my.
Okay. Also, if you have herbs like fresh mint, you could add those herbs into it. It's really good. Or rosemary. Lots of different combos. So
Mhm.
have fun and let us know what you make because I want to see.
I
I want
know.
to hear about it and then I want to try it.
Put it in the comments, create it, and then come back and say if it was like good or if you wanted to change it or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, I just again mine was olive oil, salt. I zested a whole lime and tahini,
Mhm.
and kind of tahini to taste. It's so freaking good.
And mine was olive oil, salt, the lemon zest, and paprika. And then I did end up adding some Kashmiri chili because I wanted a little heat. So,
Well,
and it's
this
good.
is great.
So that was
All
fun.
right.
Okay, good.
I love it.
Now we have a snack for our convo.
Now we have a snack to finish our snacks. And if you know me, that's how I live my life. Always snacking. I'm really enjoying this. I feel like the addition of the lime zest is just like, I'm a gourmet chef. How it feels.
It's always nice to add something fresh.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it kind of brings this brightness. It lifts everything up a little bit. I think like one of the easiest things you can do to get that is whatever you cook, just add a little squeeze of lemon juice or champagne vinegar or red wine vinegar or something acidic. Just add a little bit to that just at the end of it, and you're going to taste a difference. Like soups, meat, grill something, just do a squeeze of like lemon juice or lime juice over it before you go out. It's really amazing what a difference just a little bit makes.
Love it.
Okay.
Brought to you by Big Lemon. No, I'm just kidding. We still have time left on the oven, I think. I didn't set a timer.
No, I didn't either. And when you start to smell it, that's usually when it's done. But I would say at least like 30 minutes. So if you were going to set a timer for yourself, set one. I guess I would say 20 minutes is my usual timer that I set for those kinds of things, just to check in on them. But they're usually not ready yet. But I just don't want to forget. And so it kind of puts your mind on it. I did just check on mine, and it is probably at least another 20 minutes or so.
Yeah. Okay. We are recording this the week of the election. And after
Everyone's
finding
favorite
out
week.
election results, I was very glad that I had therapy scheduled this week. And I think that the best thing that my therapist said that I do want to share here, when the making app was a thing still, and we were talking about the values of the making app and why we created that space, that those flow over into this podcast, whether the app is still a thing or not. A lot of the values that I hold deeply in my heart and continue to care about, our community also cares about, because we typically run in packs. A lot of that is going to be challenged, and it's really scary. And I think I've been in a state of disbelief, kind of not knowing what to do, but wanting to do everything at once. The thing that she said to me was, take the time to do what you need to do to be soft with yourself this week, whether that's not scrolling on your phone, or just sitting and knitting, or having wine and watching a TV show, or having a really good conversation with somebody that you deeply care about, or whatever that needs to be. And then pick a time and a date where you're like, okay, this is going to be my date where I start moving into action. And maybe that means immediately you go volunteer with an organization, or that's when you start taking the time to figure out what your one thing is. Because I think some of us that have a lot of care and a lot of feelings, and we want to help everyone that we can all at once. The reality is we are one person, but if we all collectively do one thing, even if that's a small thing, that's going to make a big impact, right? So just kind of giving yourself the time, and then choosing something. What is it that you're concerned about within your local area? Is it something that you do want to work on nationally? Is it fighting for reproductive rights? Is it houselessness within your area? Gun violence in schools? Is it like a mutual aid organization that's within your community? Again, even if it's just taking a little bit of action, it's doing something. And as a collective, if we all do that, it's going to start making a big impact. Because I think, not saying that everyone stopped doing the thing, but I think sometimes we do need to like stop and reorganize kind of how we're showing up in the world, and also just being there for people, right? Yeah. Genuinely listening and caring. I think that was something Daniel and I were talking about yesterday, and that was something that he said was like, we can't just close ourselves off. Like having somebody to just like empathize with you and understand, that can sometimes be like a really big thing.
Yeah. I've been really struck by the divisiveness. I think we've come to a point where so many people are just unwilling anymore to want to try to understand each other. And it's from everywhere. It's not any one, side. And it's very understandable why people are feeling this way. I mean, I just, I don't see a way forward if we can't talk to each other. I don't understand how that happens. And when you see this divide, for one, I don't know what to do. I feel like overwhelmed. But I also then think about, well, we're all people, it's individual people who make up these communities. And sometimes all it takes is just exercising kindness and compassion in your day to day, like saying hello to someone on the sidewalk or having just a regular conversation with people. And it doesn't seem like very much. I realize that it doesn't seem like anything, but it's a way to break down and like try to like start recognizing each other as fellow members of humanity, And I think that, to your point, I mean, there are so many areas that, we want to help in, and so many areas that like we want to address, and finding the one that kind of resonates with you, not just the one, but like the one that most feels like somewhere you can start, And for me, I see that I live in a very conservative area, and I used to live in a very liberal area. And it's been very interesting moving from, throughout these different communities. I want to continue to see people as fellow people. That's really important to me. I feel like if I lose that, then I don't know how to move forward. What your therapist said, I think that's right. And it's just, it's a tough time, and it's like, easy for me to say that because I am, I don't interact with a lot of people on the day to day. I live in kind of the sticks in like an isolated area. And I know that not everybody is in that situation, and not everybody encountering other people that it's sometimes hard to be kind to someone who's like being a total, asshole to you.
Here in Seattle, it's different. Most likely the person walking down the street with me shares at least some of the same values that I do, right? But I think that it's really difficult to take that stance when a lot of the people who have different beliefs than I do, it feels like it comes from this hate and this place of like, I don't know. Hate's the only word I can think of.
Yeah. It's aggressive.
I have so many friends who are now scared that they can't get married, that they will not be able to be married anymore. My queer friends, my friends of color, like everybody is scared right now. And it's not just what could happen under, I don't even want to say his name. I'm going to bleep it out. Bleep. It's not just what could happen under this person who was elected president somehow. it's this freedom of acting out the hate in your heart that feels like it's magnified when we saw when the orange Cheeto was in office before.
Yeah. And even since.
That's scary. And since, yes, 100%. So now I figured, good food is part of that like process of taking care of yourself and being soft with yourself. Be gentle with yourself, have good food.
Yeah. And one other thing I would add to that is that knowing how to feed yourself, knowing how to feed your community, that's power. I can get really emotional when I talk about like what food, the power that not just food, like yes, food is good, food nourishes us, but the power of gathering with a meal, what that can do for people. It's incredible. It's really, I've seen it. I've experienced it. I think hopefully all of us have. At some point you sit down and it's a gift and it's something that is precious. And it's the reason why I am always so grateful to talk about how to cook. Also, I would just add that meals feed a resistance. I mean, people gather together and are fed food and they're fed ideas that they create, I want to say like it's like a cult and they're just like, sitting there being fed propaganda or something. But it's like, people, it's good for our soul. It's good for our bodies. And food in its most simple form is its best form. I truly believe that. You do not need to go out and buy expensive ingredients and do all of this stuff. You make what you have. And if you can grow any of it yourself, like even better. I mean, I know, I've talked about gardens on here a lot before and growing things, but there's so much power in that, you guys. There's a lot of power in that. You can control it. You control that. You can have your community. You can cook together. That's healing. And there's a lot of strength that comes out of those kinds of experiences. So, if anything, I just encourage everybody to do that more with the people who who lift them up, because we have to find the light inside of us right now. And we have to shine that shit so bright. Like that's our job. Every single one of us. That's what we can do right now. I believe that.
And to power that light, we need some good snacks.
I just started to smell the squash. I'm going to check on it. These have been in the oven for like 30 minutes or something. Basically, if you can press in on it, if you can even press in on it and it feels soft, then it's done.
Okay. But be careful because it's hot too.
Yeah.
Like we don't want people to burn themselves.
Don't burn yourself. Just safely. If you have to use the towel,
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel that?
It's just a little bit though.
So you can let it
burn myself a little bit, but that's fine.
If it feels like not super soft, like it's still resisting.
Go a little bit longer. Perfect. I love that pro tip.
It just needs like another 5 minutes or so for mine. So
I think that that's about right for mine too. We'll see.
So that's that. So when that's done, we're going to make that dip, which will be here soon. And
I'm excited.
We can assemble our news team. We can assemble our ingredients for that, which are
ingredients. So we have squash.
We have our sushi ginger, our chili of choice in a powder form. Just make sure that the chili isn't like a taco seasoning chili powder kind of thing, because that has like garlic and all these other things in it. I mean, actually, if you want to, go for it, I guess. But like we're just using just a pure spicy chili, just straight up. And then salt and lime and your microplane.
So I've got ginger, cayenne, lime.
And why did we choose sushi, chili, and lime, And so this is kind of another piece of that intuitive cookery where you get to places in your cooking from experience, right? You read, you travel, you taste a lot of different types of foods, and there are these flavor profiles. Think about like, gosh, if I've had ginger, what kind of feels like it goes well with ginger? If I think about the fragrance of them, because ginger and lime are very fragrant, and ginger is bright, especially if it's this pickled ginger, and lime is bright, and then the chili is is the heat, and then the squash has a sweetness to it, and so you're thinking like, okay, so I have something that's kind of sweet, but it's also like earthy. It's also got this umami. So what do I want to contrast or balance with that in order to make it feel like a full, something where it's like acorn squash plus just a little bit more, And so the sweet and spicy, and then the sweet and the tart, or the sweet and sour, so that's where we landed on the chili, the ginger, and the lime. Just
love it.
It's like a very deep dive into the background info of that.
No, but I think that it's good for people to like hear how you as a chef think, right? Because I do think that people who are nervous about cooking or like going off script, they don't have that thought process in their head. Hearing how you think, it's good for others to kind of hear that, and maybe that will help spark something for somebody else.
I hope so. And I hope you think sometimes like, oh, I need something, this recipe calls for lemon and I don't have lemon. Why lemon? Like, what is that there for? It's a sour component. It's an acid component. So if I don't have that, how do I substitute for that? Or how do I do something different? So it brings it back around to this using what you do have at, in your own kitchen. And so you don't have to go out and buy everything all the time and all these things. You can, be more flexible. Okay.
Which, speaking of, I purchased this microplane after we recorded the first episode that we recorded together. But if people don't have a microplane, what would you suggest that they use for zesting of a lemon or lime?
You can just use like this side of your box grater if you have that, the kind of thinner side. So you can also peel and cut. We're just going to peel the zest off. And you basically are just going to cut like a miniature grid. So you go like that in those strips, and then you turn it, and then you cut it on the perpendicular. And you get these little, this is called a brunoise, the name of this kind of cut. Just in case you're curious, which I'm sure you totally were. Look at it. And then if you poke them, are they?
Yeah, it's getting a little wrinkly.
Perfect.
So we're going.
Perfect.
And I poked it and the skin broke.
Okay.
So that's where we're at. But it smells really good.
Good. Okay. And I forgot to mention why we did them cut side down instead of cut side up. There's a little pocket where the seed hole used to be. And so they tend to steam themselves in addition to roasting themselves. So I think they cook a little bit faster. And that's why we did the cut side down, just in case you were wondering about that. That's a question I would have had. Why did she tell me to do that? What's the point?
I just went with it. Sometimes I ask lots of questions and sometimes I ask 0 questions.
Now we will get this stuff into a blender. If you're at home, you're doing this, you could do this yesterday for today, but you could also let it sit for like an hour until it's totally cooled down, and then you can puree it. I will say though, it's easier to puree when it's hot. It just kind of goes faster, but it's really not like that significant of a difference.
This is gonna be so freaking good. There's like a caramely,
yes, there it is,
goo that has come out of it.
Yes, you want that. That's our that's our umami, baby. our umami baby. So basically we pop everything into our blender and then we blend it. So we're going to scoop out all of this. We're going to add our chili and our ginger. I have a kitchen towel here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to use my spoon to get my acorn squash, and I'm going to put it in my kitchen towel in my palm.
Smart.
And then now I can use this to scoop it out without burning myself.
This is going to go wrong. Nope, it went right. All right. I think we're good here.
Okay. So,
Okay.
Okay, so for that 1 acorn squash, which is probably about, what is this? I'm going to say this is like probably 2 cups-ish worth of squash.
Yeah.
So this is how much ginger I'm going to use for our 2 cups of that. Okay. So it's probably about a tablespoon.
This is as big as mine is. Is that?
Yeah, you could still start with like a little more than that, and then you can
again, add more later.
Right. And then that's a great demo to show you. Like, we both used 1 acorn squash, but Jen's was really big, I guess, or mine was really small. So, you know, there we go.
We're only the biggest acorn squash for my pod.
If you're not used to cooking with this very much, it's a process. You taste it, you might add something, you taste it again. When you keep finding yourself going back to eat it, that's when you know it's done. Even sometimes you don't even recognize it. You're just like, ooh, that's good. And then you're back for more and back for more. So then you're like, okay, it's ready. Just rough chop this. I'm going to pour just a little bit in there. That was probably about 1/4 teaspoon of the pickling liquid.
Okay. Just a tiny little skosh?
Yeah, just a tiny little skosh. And then I'm going to add my chili, and this I do to taste, but I'm going to start with 3 pinches.
I'm going to start with 3 shakes.
And then salt. Again, I'm going to do a 1 big pinch for me, which is probably like a 3 to 4 like little pinches plus 1 more. Okay. And then now the zest. I am juice. So I'm going to zest my whole lime, but I'm only going to juice half.
I will say this microplane thing, like, again, this isn't sponsored content.
No, it's not.
Unless somebody wants
unless microplane wants to sponsor. And I'm also just going to add this lemon that I demo cut for you guys, just because I have it, and otherwise I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, we don't want to waste it.
Okay. And then I'm going to take my half of a lime, and I'm going to add the juice.
Okay. It just smells so freaking
so good. It's so fresh. And I love that too, because it's fall, it's cold. But we don't have to lose that freshness. We don't have to lose vibrancy just because it's winter. I've been saying to Jen that we need to start a cooking show. So if you guys are into that idea, please give us your feedback on the on the comments, so we know if it's actually an idea that people would want or not.
Chaos cooking.
Chaos cooking.
Gonna die. Hold on.
Oh no.
I'm going to go get my plug-in.
Okay.
But first,
while you're doing that, I'm going to go blend.
Oh, yeah. Good idea. I'm going to do that too.
Okay. Blend it. Yeah. Just until it's like a smooth puree. And if it's not blending and you need to thin it out a little bit, taste it first. And if it needs more acidity, you could add the rest of your lime. And then if you still need more after that, just have a little water, just a little bit of water nearby, and just drizzle in a little bit of water at a time until you get it to a smooth puree, which you may or may not need to do, but just so you know, that's
just in case.
Yeah, just in case.
Sweet. Okay. All right, let's do this.
All right, so This is the consistency is perfect. Mine needs the rest of the lime juice, so I'm going to add that in. But the salt is good.
What is the consistency that you're looking for?
Yeah, so it should be a smooth puree.
Like that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I could just eat this as soup.
I know, it's right? That's what I'm saying.
I think it needs a little bit more cayenne, but just a scotch. Like 3 more shakes.
I'm going to add a little bit more of my pickle juice for sweetness.
Smart.
That was like another quarter teaspoon. So total, it was probably about a half of a teaspoon of pickle juice.
So I'm going to put this into a bowl.
We could eat this as a dip, but what I'm seeing right now, and after tasting it like this, I'm thinking I want to roast a cauliflower in the oven with salt and pepper and olive oil and like fennel seed maybe. And then I want to put that here on top of my puree with like some toasted pepitas or my cashews that I made.
Ooh.
And some fresh herbs like fresh mint and pomegranate.
I just dropped the cashews in and they just like splattered everywhere. It's fine.
Yeah. Because like try one.
Oh my God. Try with a little
cracker.
A little cracker. Oh my God. What? Wait, what?
What? This is so good, you guys. Oh my God.
This is great. Thank you for sharing.
You are welcome. It's my pleasure.
Yep. The resistance begins with a good meal.
Yes. I think that's a great place to start.
Be soft with yourself. Make sure you're squishing yarn and squeezing doggies and kitties and friends and people you love. And, let's kick some ass and take some names with a full belly of yummy food.
I love it.
Remind everyone where they can find you. I mean, everything will be linked below.
Okay. Yes. So I am Andreya Nightingale, and I have a personal chef business based in South Lake Tahoe, but I cook for the Lake Tahoe and Reno area. It's called Mortar Pestle Cooking. So if you are in this area or you're coming here for vacation, let me know. I'd love to cook for you. I have a Substack called Cookie Jar, and I write about like food like what we just made right here. I love teaching people how to cook this way and how to, hopefully inspire you guys to feel more confident in yourself when you're cooking in the kitchen, to trust your instincts and your nose and your tongue and your stomach, and utilize all your senses when you're cooking and really have fun with it. Are you still doing the gratitude?
I haven't done that in a while. We should probably do that though. Let's bring that back.
Let's bring it back.
A while ago, like every podcast episode, we would end with a moment of gratitude. So what are you grateful for?
I am grateful for the amazing women in my community who I admire so much. I'm always learning from you. I actually reached out to a lot of you on this week because I just want you all to know how brightly your light shines, and sometimes you maybe feel like you're not really, like what you do doesn't matter enough, but it does. And people see that, and I see that. And so I'm just really grateful for really everybody who's doing that, but most especially for, my little group of wild weirdos. I love you.
What do you call me?
It's a compliment.
I'm just going to piggyback off of that. I'm grateful for the people in my life that I can easily look to have a really good conversation with. Last weekend, I was in Portland at Sacred Sheep Fiber Festival. So many amazing people there that came up and said hi and said that they enjoyed the podcast. And, you know, sometimes when you're putting this stuff out in the world, like Benny's my biggest cheerleader, apparently.
Yes.
Benny, that's enough, bub. Thank you. I love you. Sometimes it does feel a little lonely and like you don't know how things are being received. And like, yes, there are numbers that you get from view. You were so good for so long. I think that means we do need to wrap it up here, though.
Yeah.
But, you know, there are numbers that are told to you by YouTube and every. Oh my God. I'm grateful for my dog.
The end.
They're like, you're not going on because you didn't say you were grateful for us. So this is what we're doing. So, oh, look, shut them up.
Oh,
okay,
wow.
I'm grateful for my dogs and for everybody who listens to this podcast and for everyone who has had a conversation with me this last week that has helped, or people who've reached out, like Andrea. That text was very needed. So I appreciate you very much as well. I'm grateful for you. Mwah.
Grateful for you.
I'm going to rinse this off right now to save
that's
some
good.
time.
I love it.
Oh, this is dirty. This is a dirty little acorn squash.
Hey, there's a halo over there.
Halo. Halo. Okay, I will stop trying to be Beyonce.
Never stop that.
There's only one.
There is, but we can channel her spirit.
I'm really glad that I had therapy scheduled this week already, so that's nice.
I'm crunching now.
Uh-oh. Okay, I'm going to continue. Oh, my God. For all these nuts. Oh, no!
Okay.
There you go.
But Jen, look. And people out there, look. Actually, look at my positioning. You can cut that out.
No.
You have to rub that salt and olive oil all over it. And then put it cut side down on your cookie.
Yeah. I can't.
Oh.
Not.
Okay, I see.